より確かな機能と精度、手に馴染む操作性を追い求めたスーパー。
Nostalgia has a power over us. It's walking past a familiar street and feeling the ghost of your younger self in the air. There's something about the past that pulls us in. It's the feeling, an unclosed loop in our code, replaying who we were, who we wanted to be. But when nostalgia becomes a product, streamlined and coded for profit, does it lose its soul? Maybe we're hardwired for it, drifting along the current of consumerism like traffic on a VPN, buying into a dream that was never fully ours to begin with. Do cameras like the Nikon Zf fit into that? Are they just tools? Or do they remind us of the analog world we still crave in this digital age? Even if you never shot on film, never handled a Nikon FM2, cameras like the Nikon Zf still draw you in. Strange, isn't it? This pull to a time you never lived. Is it real, or is it just an illusion? Anemoia, nostalgia for a time you never experienced. Cameras like the Nikon Zf tap into that. They feel familiar, yet just out of reach, like a fleeting deja vu.
スーパーニコン、ニコン F3。
The Nikon Zf is a 24.5 megapixel full-frame mirrorless camera released in September 23, and I think I love it. It reminds me of the first camera I ever bought myself, a Nikon FG film SLR. That camera shaped my early days in photography, taught me to carry a camera everywhere, and to see the world through a viewfinder. That's exactly what Nikon wants with the Zf, to tug on your nostalgic heartstrings. The Zf doesn't try to be groundbreaking or revolutionary. Its appeal is its design. It's a reminder of the past for a digital world, an invitation to experience photography in a more deliberate and tactile way. But there's nothing particularly groundbreaking about the Zf, at least not in a technical sense. It doesn't have the revolutionary features that defined cameras like the Nikon FM2, with its 1/4000th of a second maximum shutter speed and titanium shutter curtains. No, the Zf's main draw is its design. In the world of digital cameras, we've reached a sort of peak. Most cameras in the 20s took great images, with only marginal differences between them in quality. So to stand out, the experience of using a camera has to be something unique. Modern digital cameras can feel like efficient and clinical machines. They get the job done, but they lack a certain soul. Film cameras, on the other hand, were tactile and engaging. They involved a chemical and mechanical process. In the digital cameras of the 20s, we started seeing a similar urge to bring back physical dials, the simplicity, the feeling of cameras as a tool you engage with, and not just another device. The Nikon Zf was what we always wanted from Fujifilm, a retro-styled full-frame camera. It has presence, and it doesn't blend in. Now, if only Nikon had resurrected the Nikon SP and made a modern digital rangefinder, it would have been truly incredible. One thing that sets the Zf apart is its Z-mount, which makes it an incredibly versatile camera for adapting vintage lenses. The Nikon Z-mount has the shortest flange focal distance of any modern lens mount, 16 millimeters. Meaning you can adapt nearly any lens to it. The flange focal distance is the distance between between the lens mount and the sensor or film plane. It's even possible to adapt Sony E-mount lenses to the Z-mount, which is amazing. It opens up a world of possibilities. But it's not just about the flange distance. The wider diameter of the Z-mount also benefits optical design. The wider opening gives lens designers more flexibility, making it easier to create lenses with larger apertures or improved image quality across the frame, since the elements can be physically larger. Nikon Z-mount essentially future-proofs the system, giving it an edge in lens design potential that many other mounts lack. In a perfect world, I would want every single mirrorless camera to be equipped with the Nikon Z-mount. It is by far the most versatile. Vintage lenses just feel at home on the ZF. They fit the retro design perfectly, unlike other modern cameras. If you're a fan of older lenses, the Nikon ZF is one of the best systems out there for adapting and experimenting with them. It's not all perfect. The screen design, for example, feels clunky. The hinge is large and disrupts the clean look of the camera's rear. Personally, I wish all retro-style cameras would adopt the screen design of the Fuji X Pro 3. To me, it is the perfect screen design. A screen that stays hidden but can flip down to the ideal angle for shooting. I do not need front-facing LCDs on every single camera. Another issue is the lack of aperture rings on Z-mount lenses. Nikon's solution to this is a small LCD on the top displaying the current aperture, but it doesn't quite feel right. They currently only have two lenses, the 28mm f2.8 and the 40mm f2 that match the body's vintage look. More lenses in this style would complete the ZF experience. Personally, I love the Ultra Lab non-Nikkor lenses, as they match the styling of the original Nikon f-mount lenses while being native to the Z-mount. The 40mm lens that comes with this camera is amazing. 40mm by far is my favorite focal length, as it sits perfectly between 35 and 50mm. I often wish when shooting with a 35mm that it was slightly tighter, and when I'm shooting with a 50, I often wish it was slightly wider. 40mm offers the perfect compromise between the two. I would love to see more 40mm lenses packaged with cameras in the future. The ZF's colors are pleasing enough, but I'll be honest, I don't love them as much as Fuji's. But for me, colors in camera don't matter as much since I know I can adjust them in post shooting raw. There's something about having good color in camera that builds confidence while shooting. That's why with this camera I often shoot in the dedicated black and white mode. It changes the way you see while shooting, which is exactly what good color in camera does for me. Lets me focus on the important aspects of making an image. If you're looking to get incredible color, regardless of the camera you're using, head over to gxace.com and pick up the preset packs and the all-new motion picture film emulation for video, Simulacrum. The ZF draws upon the lineage of the FM series, but when you put the ZF side by side with an FM2, you realize they aren't as similar as they seem. The ZF is much heavier and feels much more substantial, almost tank-like compared to the FM2. In weight and feel, it's actually closer to a Nikon F3, and if you get this hand grip by Newer, it actually looks like one too. The ZF is a modern reinterpretation of the classic Nikon film SLR. beyond its looks and nostalgic character. The ZF brings some new features that make it a powerful tool in practice. While not groundbreaking, they are quite compelling. It has advanced subject detection and eye tracking, even with manual focus lenses. This means that even if you're using vintage glass, the camera can detect and track a subject's eye, something rare in the world of manual lenses. You can zoom in directly to the subject's eye and check focus extremely easily. This feature should be on every camera. It's that good. And Nikon went even further by optimizing stabilization specifically around the focus point. Cameras generally stabilize around the center point of the image, but with the ZF's axis adjustable stabilization, the vibration reduction actually shifts to align with the focus point, making it ideal for off-center compositions. It's a small detail, but it shows a commitment to blending the best modern technology with the classic tactile experience we associate with cameras of the past. One of the most compelling aspects of the Nikon Zf is that it's an incredible hybrid camera. Given its full-frame, high-resolution sensor and internal recording codecs, the Nikon Zf was an extremely formidable video camera as well. Maybe it's not just nostalgia that draws us to cameras like the Nikon Zf. Sure, the design reminds us of the past, but it's more than that. It's about having something that stands out, something that doesn't blend into the background noise of modern cameras. In a world where everything starts to look the same, the Zf has presence. Not just because it looks retro, but because it feels intentional. Nostalgia can be more than just a fleeting emotion. It can add depth, give a camera soul. The Zf taps into that feeling, not by mimicking the past, but by making us pause, making us feel connected to the act of photography. It's more than just a tool. It's a bridge to something we can feel, something that makes photography a bit more personal.